You're watching MMA Oddsbreaker. I'm Frank Trigg. That is obviously the freshly retired Chris Leben. Chris, you're not a guy to sit at the house and do nothing. It's not in your nature just to sit around and do nothing at all. Even between training camps, you're finding something else to do all the time. How are you going to come up with retirement? What are you going to do in retirement?
Well, I got a job. That's one thing. I mean, so I'm going to be I guess the title they're giving me is the MMA director over at Victory Athletic here in San Diego. It's a nice big gym. I'm going to basically be running their team, teaching classes at night, running their team during the day, and hopefully, cornering and doing all that fun stuff with the fighters.
So you went from actually competing and being in line with the fighters to now just training fighters. Do you think it's going to be difficult making that jump? Because I knew when I was like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, I'm not going to be in the top end, I got to get out of it. Trying to do anything around fighters or fighting, it was really difficult for me. I couldn't really do it because all I wanted to do was compare myself. Oh, I can still fight. I can still do this with these other guys.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be. I mean, you've trained at my gym in Hawaii, so coaching has always been a part of me. And actually, since I've been out here in San Diego, this is really the only time that I haven't been actively coaching in my entire career. So I've pretty much coached parallel my entire career. So I'm actually I have a passion for it, and I'm really excited to get back into it. There's going to be some battles in there, some mental battles, obviously, but it's part of life, man.
Who's the up and coming star that we haven't quite heard about yet coming out of Victory that you're gonna be the guy that's gonna be in his corner and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Chris Leben built this guy.
You know what? You're gonna cost me my brand new job already. I can't remember.
Hey, it's new. You're like me. You go in there. You're used to punching guys in the face. You don't need to know their name when you're hitting them. You just hit them.
I know. Now I got to be the guy that knows the names and all that stuff. So there's gonna be a period of getting used to it. So, but actually I start on Monday. So.
Oh, okay.
Monday will be my first day, so I'm excited. I hear they got a great group of guys. They got about 20 guys on the team or so. So, and I mean that's just one thing. There's several other irons in the fire. I'm just like you. I mean, not going back to school. You know what I'm saying? So, and this sport is really all I know. So, yeah.
What's your wife say? Because she's used to being in training camp and eating right and training right, and you guys moved to San Diego so she could go to law school. Now it's just a whole game. Like, what's going to happen? Like, how is she going to deal with you being home a little bit more and having a little bit more idle time?
Yeah, I know, honey. It's hard. She's already tired of it. Yeah, she's sick right now and she's doing homework. She's going crazy with law school, so but like I told you before, that's the 401k right there,
Yeah.
So I gotta find a way to I gotta get her through law school, and I gotta pay rent, man. I gotta things still gotta happen, regardless. And it's just like you said when when you retired, with my personality and the guy that I am, if I'm not at the top of the game, I don't want to be in it, especially having been there. You know what I mean? In this sport, this sport's a one-directional sport. Either you're moving up, or it's time to bow out. And Trigg, I mean, I had a lot of good years. And it's different now. You had a wrestling background, everything else. I wrestled in high school, but other than that, I didn't start till I was 21. I was just a tough kid, learned some technique, and I made it almost 10 years in the UFC. So, I look at these guys now, and they're, they started training when they're 6 years old. They probably legitimately, if they would have put their mind to it, could have played a different sport like football or baseball or something. But they dedicated their entire life to MMA. Now they're 21, 23 years old. I mean, the game's changing.
It used to be every 6 months to be somebody new. Now it's like every 90 days. There's somebody new that you're like, wow, that guy's going to be a champion a year from now. It's ridiculous how quick.
Not to mention that, but it's also the way guys are fighting now, Guys used to go, used to have two guys and they come at each other like this, whoosh, And I'm great at that. I'm great at fighting like that.
Yeah.
But now, you know, and you see it even with the champions, with GSP and stuff, you know, the knockouts are getting fewer and farther between, you know. Guys are going out there to not lose, as opposed to kick the crap out of you and knock you out, you know, and lay it on the line. Guys are going out there and going, you know, I can pick them apart and use my skills and win. And don't get me wrong, that's a great game plan. And as far as the sport of MMA goes, you know, it's a valid way to win. But, you know, that's what we're seeing more and more of. And I'm just not good at that.
Now, it was brought to my attention, I don't know if this is true, but they said that after you got clean and sober, you didn't win another fight after that spacing. Is that true? Is that record correct?
That is correct.
So, does that, because you're dealing with your demons, you have addictive behavior, you're going to be dealing with this for the rest of your life. It's just how it goes.
Sure.
Does that make you sometimes regret getting clean? Like, I could have won some more fights, I could have been, or is life now so much better for you as a clean and sober individual? You're a better husband, you're a better friend, and you're so much better with everything else. You're like, my athletic career is just my athletic career, and the rest of my life is the rest of my life.
It really is better, you know, and the bottom line is, especially with the illegal drugs, you know, I was spending all the money I was making anyways. So, you know what I mean? So, you know, 6 in one, half dozen in the other. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do I think, you know, because I used to fight, you know, the way I fought, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck this. I could die tomorrow. Let's go out there. I'm fucking kill this guy, you know? And that fire, honestly, I'd be lying if I told you that fire was still in me these last couple fights. It hasn't been. Okay. You know, and I hate to admit it, man, but you know what? Shit's going okay at home. Things are going all right. My life is moving along, and I've kind of settled in. I'm a lot more normal, mellow guy now, you know, and yeah, I mean, so. Just getting older, I guess, man. I don't even know. I don't know how to explain it.
What was the final decision? Was it something that you and your wife sat down and talked about, and you said, "Look, if I lose this fight walking into it, I'm going to retire"? Like, what was the final decision to make you step away?
Well, since we moved to San Diego, I've been telling her, you know, 3 more years. When you graduate law school, I'm done. You know, and then you know. Going into this last fight, I told her, you know, hey, I don't think I can take another, because I take losses pretty hard. You know, I think we all do. We're all competitive. You know, I used to not lose hardly ever. Now, you know, lately it's been a rough ride. You know, I said, you know, I don't know if I can take another loss. You know, and you know the game's changing. You know, and she said, well, Chris, you know, you've already been talking about retiring in 3 years already, so I know it's on your mind. You know, so I said, okay, well, you know, I'm going to train my ass off for this fight, train harder than I ever have, and I did. I pulled out every stop for this fight to be in the best shape ever, you know. But, you know, depending on the outcome, you know, after the fight, we'll reevaluate things. You know, so going into the fight, that was already looming.
Okay. And obviously you're satisfied with it. There was no take-backs on your part. You didn't like, oh, well, I'm going to make a decision. You waited. Smart. Didn't make the announcement in the ring or the cage. You came home, you relaxed, and you made the announcement later, which is a smart way to do it. And I wish more athletes, GSP included, should have done it the exact same way that you did it. Don't say anything in the cage, because then it comes off as, oh, I'm going to retire, I'll be back in 20 minutes, because you're emotional and things are going on. Go home, sit down, relax for a minute, wait till you take a breath, and then wait 3 or 4 days and be like, hey, look, now I retire. You did it the right way, the way that most athletes should do it. It just doesn't happen that way because we're emotional. And that's the thing I found with a lot of fighters, that we're so emotional. We have to say what's on our mind right away, and as a result, sometimes it bites us in the ass. We're not ready to go, but we say it, and then when we need to get out, we won't get out because we still think we have the fire. So it's better to do it at the house.
You know, I kind of stole that from Randy. Mm-hmm. Randy, he trained me at Team Quest, was my coach and everything else, and you know, whenever he would lose, he'd always say the same thing. He said, "Well, you know, now I need to go home and evaluate things." You know, So that's kind of the way what I did with this one is I just told people, you know, I need to do some evaluating and, you know, weigh some things and you know, it's like I said before, after doing that evaluating, you know, if I'm not going to be at the top of the game, you know, and I'm 5'11" in the middleweight division, which is pretty short for a middleweighter nowadays. Yeah. I used to be average height, you know, and you know, I'm not a counter striker. I'm a slugger. I want to go at you, you know, so. You know, I'm realizing now that, you know, some of the athleticism and stuff, there's going to be some guys that'd be real hard for me to beat. My body's already took a lot. So, after doing all that evaluating and thinking it through, it's definitely time. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to slow down. As a matter of fact, I'm going to speed up. I'm going to speed up with all the work and everything else I'm doing. I'm going to dive headfirst into this training, hopefully seminars and everything else there is to offer that the sport has to offer, just putting a different hat on.
Smart guy, smart way to get out of the sport, smart way to leave with still your intelligence and still able to speak, not getting brain damage by sitting there, because you are a slugger and you will get hit, and eventually it's going to happen. You're going to get brain damage. If you stayed in there 2 or 3 more fights, you'll notice it, like I'm slowing down, things aren't happening right, and it was smart for you to get out the right time. But here's the last question before we let you out of here. Your wife's going to graduate here pretty quick. And then when she graduates, is the plan to stay in San Diego, to go back to Hawaii, to move back to Seattle, or is it just wherever she gets a job is where you guys are going to go?
Man, it's tough, because my heart, I'm not going to lie, my heart is in Hawaii. Yeah. I love Hawaii. I got some great friends there, and I don't know, there's just something about being on the island,
You're telling that to the wrong guy. You're trying to tell that to the wrong guy. Like, I'm a guy that's, the moment I have enough money, I'm buying a place in Hawaii. That's just what's happening. Like, as soon as I got it, it's going. That's where it is.
Well, you see, I'm lucky. I got one thing in my corner, and that's that my wife was born and raised there. So all her family's there. They all own houses there, and so I'm going to be going back for the rest of my life for sure. But problem is, there ain't no fucking. If you got money and you're in Hawaii, you're on vacation. Yeah. You saw what my gym looked like, man. And that's about as good as you can do out there in Hawaii, So
when my brother was stationed there in the Air Force, he was like, yeah, there's a lot of guys that they're stationed there so long they buy houses when the market was low. Then it jumped. He goes, legitimately, these guys have steady jobs. They're in the military. They have steady government jobs. And all of a sudden, the balloon payment comes in or the interest rate raises, and they're homeless.
Right.
Like 6 months later, they have no home because it got foreclosed on. And so Hawaii is a very difficult island because there's nothing there that is made there except for pineapple and some bananas and some other stuff. And the majority, everything else has to be imported in. It's literally you are on a remote island. Everything has to be brought in. Cars, gas, everything has to be shipped in, and it makes it very expensive.
Hey, shipping happens,
Yeah, it happens a lot,
especially in Hawaii.
It happens a lot. So, well, Chris, I'm glad you retired the way you did. I'm glad you got out smart. Most people are like, oh, wow, it sucks. I want to see him fight someone. I want to see him get out. I consider you one of my friends, and I'm like, I want to see my friend come out. It's not wins or losses, but I want to see you come out okay. And you came out okay, and that to me is the most important thing. I got to be honest with you. If anybody asks me, when's the time to retire? Follow Chris Leben. Look at what happened with Chris Leben. It's not the wins and losses. It's realizing I've gone through a lot of damage. My body's slowing down. I don't have that fire anymore. It's time to step away while I still have my brain sense, and let's go. Let's speed up. Let's go faster in the sport now. But doing seminars and training and coaching other guys. Let's get back to the sport that made us so famous.
So. Awesome, man. Thanks, dude. I couldn't have said it better, Trigg. Right on, brother.
Good. Now you can hire me as your spokesperson. That's perfect. All right, Chris. Thanks. I appreciate it. I hope your wife feels better soon. We'll talk to you later, bud.
All right, brother. Easy.